Hello, everyone. It's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. This is the um, podcast from Republic, which is the crowdfunding platform that Aptera has been using. It's a little program they call Unicorn Hunt, looking for unicorns, which in the venture capital world are companies that are going to become like billion-dollar companies. So this is Aptera on Unicorn Hunt. Sorry that the quality is not better. This is the best quality I could find.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Republic, for setting up this event. Great to hear from Tony and the amazing things he's doing. And I look forward to presentations after mine as well. We're Aptera. We're here in sunny, well, not so sunny today, a little cloudy today, but usually sunny Southern California, Carlsbad to be precise. I'm sitting here in our 80,000 square foot facility here, where we've set about to build the world's most efficient transportation. Oh, there you go. We've set about to really solve the equation for what is the most efficient transportation. Where does the energy go in transportation today? And what would a transportation device for the future look like? We found out, after looking at today's transportation that sedans and SUVs today use over 60% of their fuel at highway speeds, just pushing air out of the way. So if you could take that aerodynamic drag down to zero, you'd instantly get 60% better fuel economy. The second biggest loss is weight. It takes a lot of energy to deform the tires on every rotation. So if you can have a very lightweight vehicle, you get even more performance. And if you can have an efficient powertrain, you get even more efficiency. Today, combustion engines only get 25% of the energy out of their fuel when they burn it to their wheels. So you're just wasting 75% of the energy in combustion fuels just right out the door. And electric vehicles are much better at taking energy, from the power plant to your wall, to a battery, to your wheels. But typical electric vehicles, you only get 80-ish% of the power from the wall to your wheels. We actually have a really efficient powertrain that gets more energy from the wall to your wheels. And you put it all together and you get something that gets 100 watt hours per mile in EV vernacular, or 350 miles per gallon equivalent if you put it in combustion vernacular, but just extreme efficiency. You're able to do really cool things with that once you make such an efficient vehicle. One is you can get extreme range. With a pretty small battery pack, we can get over 1,000 miles of range per charge. 1,000 miles, one direction, put on your astronaut diapers and drive. But also, we have solar power on our vehicles. The solar capability of the Aptera is pretty extraordinary. Over 40 miles a day of solar power directly from the sun in Southern California. And if you add all that up, it could be over 11,000 miles a year of free driving just from the power of the sun. That's in places like Southern California, but even in places like Boston, New York, Seattle, you get kind of 8,500, 8,000 miles a year, which is still pretty good range. If you're paying $7 a gallon, $5 a gallon for gasoline, to have that fuel cost completely eliminated with the Aptera because you're just charging from the sun, well, heck, that's really impactful to your pocketbook. We really have a mission to bring the world efficiency through technologies. First principles engineering is what makes this vehicle so compelling. That's why it looks the way it looks. That's why it weighs what it weighs. That's why the powertrain is what it is. That's why the battery pack is so compelling. And the solar has such extreme charge range. We have a pretty amazing team here. Myself and Steve. Steve's a pilot, electrical engineer. He originally conceived of the idea of the Aptera. How do we design for efficiency? I came along with my more mechanical and composites background, and we got together and started Aptera. Today, he manages most of the electrical engineering. I manage most of the mechanical engineering. We've got great resources in the Asian Pacific region. Pablo is helping us get into manufacture effectively. Sarah is helping us spread our message. And Jason's helping us to design a very compelling and useful version of this aerodynamic shape. We made the shape. He made the cut lines and the doors and everything beautiful, and the interior usable. Coach is our VP of engineering. He's handling, a lot of what we're doing in Italy, making the body structures over there and the general engineering of the vehicle. And Blake's doing amazing things for us on the finance management side. We first focus on safety. You can imagine with building such a unique vehicle that one of the first questions people have for us is how safe is this vehicle? So we designed the Aptera not just to be a safe vehicle, but one of the safest vehicles on the road. With the power of composites, we're making the body structure out of carbon fiber composites really strong. We've been able to do amazing things, and we're hoping to exceed all relevant federal motor vehicle safety standards. And in fact, in the last test that we did, we actually had the highest roof crush strength of any passenger car on the road. So we've been able to do some really creative things to make the passengers safer. And because, we have, such a compelling first principles design, I think we'll be able to show the world a very, very safe Aptera. Then bleeds down to efficiency, execution with our amazing team. And at the end here, I'll show you about our enthusiasm. We actually have 750 millimeters of crushable space in the nose of our vehicle. To get a 5-star crash rating in the U.S., you only need 650 millimeters. So great frontal impact, offset frontal impact, side impact. We have a very large door beam and a vehicle structure beam for side impact. Most of the injuries in side impact come at your hip points. We did a lot to protect that. And rollover protection with this carbon fiber chassis is just extreme. Our efficiency really starts with aerodynamics, as I explained. We just have so much less drag than any other vehicle out there. And in fact, our aerodynamic profile is actually less. We have less resistance in our whole vehicle than just the side view mirrors on an older F-150 pickup truck. So the aerodynamic resistance you feel in the Aptera at highway speeds is about the same as you sticking 2 hands out of your window, and the pressure you feel against your 2 hands. That's the total pressure that the Aptera has to overcome at highway speeds. So you can imagine that just makes for a much more efficient vehicle. It takes less energy to push this vehicle per mile because it's having to waste less energy pushing the air out of the way. And lightweight, we're able to make a very compelling long-range vehicle in around a 2,000-pound chassis, which is half to a third of what other comparable electric vehicles are out there for range. And our powertrain is actually in the wheels. The motors are in the wheels. A great Zoolander quote, the files are in the computer. The motors are in the wheels. And that does a lot of amazing things for us. One, it cleans up a lot of packaging space. We don't really have anything in the nose of our vehicle. We don't have a drivetrain that has a transaxle, that has a U-joint, a drive shaft, a U-joint. You can imagine that every gear or U-joint thing that rubs against each other, every friction thing in a system is just waste. So because the only moving part in this motor is the axle bearing that it spins on, there's very little waste. There's no pumped lubricants, there's no transmission fluid, no oil. So usually need oil or transmission fluid to cool things. We don't need that because there's only one moving part, big motor. We also get really good regenerative braking because the motor's so big. So when the motor's so big, regular other EV motors are maybe 8 inches in diameter. We're 14 inches in diameter. It means you have more leverage for regenerative braking. It means that the brake pads are hardly used. So the axle bearing that this rides on, 1,000,000-mile device. The brake service life in this vehicle, 1,000,000 miles. The only thing that you should have to service in the Aptera for 1,000,000 miles is the tires and the washer fluid to clean your windshield. So because this motor's so efficient and because it has such great regenerative braking, it also has a lot of torque on the other side. And because the vehicle's so efficient in total, we get to do amazing things like have it be solar powered. The solar capability of this vehicle, 3.2 square meters on the roof, is about 700 watts of panels. It can charge the vehicle in Southern California about 4.4 kilowatt hours a day. That can get you over 40 miles of driving range a day, which is just great. And in total, 11,000 miles a year in sunnier places, which is about the average American driver's drive. So, for a lot of people that own the Aptera, you would just never have to plug it in. You can plug it in to charge the battery. If you go on a long trip, you can go to a supercharger, you can do those things. But for most people, if you drive 30 miles a day, you don't have to charge the Aptera. You just leave it in your driveway. It charges by the sun. When you go to work, you park it in the parking lot. It charges by the sun. You never have to plug it in, which saves you a lot of time and money. Put all those together, 1,000-mile range, no need to charge. And as a business, a very defensible position. You can't imagine some of the bigger OEMs designing a three-wheeled vehicle with a composite chassis that's driven the way we're driven. We're just very, very unique. We have a great patent portfolio, mostly focused on solar, but also some battery and body structure. A really unique thing about the way we manufacture the vehicle is the whole vehicle is made of only 6 parts. All these parts are easily positioned by humans. This whole body structure you see on the screen here, even though it has the highest roof crush strength of any vehicle on the road today, it actually weighs less than I do, which may be more of a comment on my weight problems in the vehicle. But all these parts, are 50 pounds. They can be human position. That means we don't have to automate with robots and stuff. We can just have these vehicles very easily assembled. Our launch plan is to have the vehicle ready for manufacture very shortly. We've released most of the production tooling for it. In fact, in Italy, I just got back from a trip where we started to see some of the production tooling for the body panels and such. Then we expect to ramp production in 2024 and hopefully deliver to our over 42,000 reservation holders very shortly. As I mentioned, we have over 40, these numbers are a little outdated, but over 42,000 orders for the Aptera, over 16,000 investors in the company through great platforms like Republic. We have over 800 global ambassadors, so people with business cards that share our story around the world. A great social media world that has grown over the last 2 years to over 1 million people. And we have a great newsletter list that's over 100,000 people now that has tremendous engagement. We send out a newsletter and almost 80% of the people actually open that newsletter the next day, which is crazy engagement. And 60% of those people actually click a link in those newsletters. So it shows people are very hungry about what we're doing, and they're very supportive of, for our move towards solar mobility. Great coverage, but we feel, we're kind of just on the cusp of real tangible coverage once we get closer to production and have validation vehicles, third parties, Edmunds and Time and news channels and stuff can drive those vehicles, and we'll get a lot more mainstream coverage then. And that's it. We hope the world embraces our idea for solar mobility. We hope through platforms like Republic, people can invest a minimum of $200 in our dream for a more efficient future. And we're happy to share our story and answer any questions that you guys may have. I wasn't reading in the chat as I was talking, but was there any questions?
A few did come in, and we'll cycle back to those after the third and final presentation here. Yeah, we got some questions on the specs of the car and potential customer base as well. But yeah, I'll cycle back through. I'll let you read up on those, and then
is growing mightily. So we think that the potential for the Aptera is pretty huge. An electric vehicle that can power itself, and doesn't take the time to plug in, it is a whole another benefit. We also think that the infrastructure that the nation and the